All right, and welcome to a Saturday night. What do I call this? Saturday night special edition of Gatton CNC Live. Um, Feels a little weird to be back on a Saturday night because I've been used to the Wednesday uh, midday show, I guess, at 3 p.m. But welcome everybody. I'm here with my guest tonight, Stacy, who is going to talk about the new G3 CNC plug and play controller.
Yes,
And
sir.
I guess I should probably stop calling it the new G3. I mean, I know you've just recently started uh,
hmm
marketing them on your web page, which, by the way, folks, is www.g3cnc.com if you want to check them out. And because this has been in the works for quite a while, I think, right?
Yes, sir. Since last year, about this time last year, and I would have had it out sooner, but I had a second round of neck surgery to get some arthritis and some cure some a little bit more nerve damage, and so I was out for a while and letting all of that stuff heal up and everything, and kind of delayed me getting it out there and everything. But it's finally out there.
Okay, well, good. Yeah, we were talking the other day, and I said, yeah, it's been
hmm
just right at a year, I think, when I got the
Right.
first email from you when you were telling me you were going to do this, and I'm so happy that you followed through and made this. And I'm sure we're going to have some questions about it.
hmm
Um, let's see here. Let me go through here real quick and just give a few shout outs. Just say hello to some folks that
Okay.
are here. Yeah, let me do this here so the thing won't block us here. We got Big D in the house. Joe Downard's here. How you doing, Joe? Marcello. I hope I'm saying your name right. Dennis Mills. How you doing? Jerry Bonifield. Stephen Cooper. He's a new guy. I think he just bought a kit the other day.
Okay.
Robert Smith's in the house. Jesse from JJ Woodshop. Kevin Wilkerson. Dave Matthews. Let's see who else. Dale Ludlam. Stephen Toronto. I may not be able to get all these because we got a ton of folks watching. Darren Birds. Marlowe's here. Steve. Gary Hammett. Hey, Frankie CNC and Woodworking Channel. How you doing? Dave Kraus. Paul Stewart. Glenn Howig, Greg Euler, and everybody else. I'm going to stop there because I don't want to spend half the show doing shout outs here. But if you've got any questions, if anybody's checked that out and you've got any questions about about that controller, feel free to put them in the chat. That's what we're here for tonight, is to answer any questions. And even if you don't, I've got a lot of questions for him. So we're not going to let him get off get off too easy. So I guess Dave Matthews says big improvement over the Techno. I used to have I can't remember the name of that music, but it was kind of some techno stuff that you had to watch it a lot for it to grow on you. I think I like the stuff I got now better. Okay. All righty. So tell me, just tell me a little bit about this plug and play controller you've got. Tell me what was the driving force behind it. What made you want to start building these things?
Well, like I said, the very first one that I did, I bought a plans off of eBay and built my own small uh, CNC, and it never would work right. The plans were bad, and just my lack of knowledge. And I bought one of the very first Xylotex 3-axis boxes, and kind of started following you a little bit back then. And like I said, it just never really panned out and worked well and everything. So I started trying to look into and figuring out why. And over the years, going back and forth to it and everything. And then when Xylotex left the market, I kind of saw the need to jump in and do something about it. And I recently changed jobs after over 20 something years with the same company, and I went to work for a company, and I've always been in sales, and we do production fabrication and have 3 huge plasma CNC machines at our work that we use all the time. And after there about a month, the gentleman that did all of our programming wound up leaving, and they were kind of in a bad way. So I got tabbed to come in off the road about half the time from selling, and wind up having to figure out and learn Sigma Nest and Hypertherm, and that really got my juices going, dealing with that and dealing with fabricating parts out of 8-foot by 20-foot sheets of steel, 8-foot by 40-foot pieces of steel, and doing all of that nesting. So that's when I really got serious into looking around, and everything was really kind of high end for production machines, and the hobbyist was just kind of left out. So that's when I really started focusing on and contacted you, and kind of got your opinion on it and everything, and then just started hunting down materials. And my goal was simply just to try to get the most affordable unit that I could put together with quality parts, but trying just to hit the lowest possible price for the hobbyist, without it being with it being good quality products and at a good price point. And I think I did a good job with it. Which the G3 stands for Generation 3. I got the latest 3rd generation of digital drivers, which is the 32-bit DSP technology drivers. I've done all the homework and the math on your power supply, your drivers, and your stepper motors, inductance, and all of that. I was very fortunate to find 2 good companies that make the drivers and the motors, and they actually custom wind the motors for me to lower the inductance down to a level that I want them at, which is about 2.5 to 2.8 range and everything. And they done that. So with our 10 amp 48 volt power supply in there, and with the lower inductance and everything, we're able to utilize you would be utilizing about 94% of the power of the drivers and the motors and everything, along with the power supply. So I feel happy that we've got good quality products, and that they all hook up and work well together to give you a high performance machine that's got the grunt and the power to handle the heavy cutting if you need to get into the heavy milling on wood and that sort of thing. So
yeah, I've got the unit that you sent me hooked up to my old Sidewinder, and it really does a fantastic job running that thing. And it's it's a metal, it's a heavier gantry, I guess. It's probably got a heavier gantry than my Gatton, even though it's not as big.
Right.
But yeah, it has no trouble working with that, and it's pretty cool. And some of you guys may have seen the video that I did. I think I did it about 2 weeks ago, and it was supposed to be kind of a review video, an unboxing, kind of, sort of, although I already had it out of the box. But I was just trying to show what comes with your basic kit, and I want you to kind of expand on that, because I'm sure if I try to list everything, I'll forget something.
Okay.
But
basically, you're going to get the 4 motors. Comes with it. I don't sell the main control unit on the site without the motors by itself. So you're going to get the motors, and actually the first batch of motors that I bought, I'm not sure if I told you this or not, Dave, but the manufacturer was out of the 425 ounce core motors, and so they wind up giving me the next larger size up, which is a 4NM size stepper motor, which equates out to a 566 ounce stepper motor for the same price as the 425. So, you know, the kits in the next group that I order should have the 425s, but for the group that I got right now that I'm selling off of, you're actually getting an upgraded 566 ounce stepper motor at no additional charge. Also in the kit, your basic power cord and the USB cord, and also have my e-stop box, which comes with it at no additional charge. It's got the aviation connector, 3-prong connector. This plugs into the front of the unit, and it's got 10 feet of cable with it. You can see the wire gland right here. It's secured inside of the box. It's not going to yank and pull out. So you can set this and mount this. You can see the holes there. You can attach it to the table framework if you want to, or wherever you want to, and place this thing anywhere on the table. Like I said, it comes with 10 feet of cable, so you got plenty of cable length to.
Yeah, I'll just show this picture right here. You can see where the he's got these all marked for the e-stop, touch plate, one down here for the spindle, and then one for the limit switches here. So they're nicely labeled. And I'm using the e-stop, by the way. Normally I don't bother putting one on because usually I don't have to hit the e-stop.
Right.
But I did go ahead and plug it up since it was so easy to plug in there. And it's nice that I think it's cool that you include that with the basic kit, because, you know, a lot of folks that are brand new at this, when they turn that thing on for the first time, they want to have their hand right there on that e-stop, you know, because they're a little nervous about hitting cycle start. So,
well, you can't really throw everything in there because that just drives the price up. But I just try to figure out all the things that I felt like someone would need starting out and everything, and that was one of the accessories that I kind of felt like you needed to have, and so I wanted to include it in the kit. I also include an 18 gauge VFD cable. It's a 4-foot lead. If you want to move up from a router to one of the VFD spindles, and so you got the cable there that you can hook up to your VFD and everything. It's already pre-wired inside of the unit, and you just need to kind of follow your instructions on, you know, whatever VFD that you're buying to match up the wires and everything. And also I took the time with the setup instructions that I made. I took screenshots of Mach 3 and the files to show you exactly where to go to on your computer. And I think it's about, I've added to it a little bit. I think it's about 3 pages long now. That's a Word document, and I send that out to you. It'll also include a spec data sheet on the motors, on the drivers. So if you ever needed to change anything down the road, then you got the little switch codes, the numbered switch codes, and you know which switches go to which settings and everything. And I'll give you that. I also will give you a copy of the motion control card, the wiring diagram for it, so you can have it and kind of know what's going on there with it and everything if you want to, if you feel the need to add something. I also include 3 of these 22 gauge cables for your outputs, and also for the touch plate and everything. If you want to, hook up any of those, you got the lead for those. And I just recently made a change on the box, and I'll show you this with where the limit plug is. Let's see. Yeah, if you can see that the limit switch at the bottom is now where originally it was a 4-prong aviation connector. It's now a 2-prong, and now it's a 4-prong. And I think Dave talked me into providing a lead for the homing switches as well. And so that's what I did. I put a 4-prong in there so I could split it off, and that cable is now a 4-prong lead, and it's got 2 separate wires coming off of it, and the one with the blue tape on it here, this cord is for the limit switches, and the one without is going to be for the homing switches. And so you got the leads coming off of there if you want to wire up limit and homing switches there. So all of that comes with it at no extra charge. And I think that's about basically all that's included in the kit. So
okay, well, I got a couple of questions here I want to get to before
okay,
before they scroll up out of sight, because as they put them in and they scroll up, I miss them. But Paul P here says, is the G3 built to only run with Mach 3 or Mach 4, or is it software agnostic?
it is built to run strictly with Mach 3. Right now, I'm using one of the I'm using the STB 4100 board, motion controller board. There's a couple of them that I could use that are very similar, but it wires up. It's got the best wiring layout and hookup to it, and so I use that, and that's strictly for Mach 3. For somebody that's maybe wanting to use Mach 4, I am talking with Pokey and also UC CNC. I've contacted both of those companies, and they have basically a couple of newer all-in-ones where you don't have to get an additional breakout board, and it can run Mach 3 or Mach 4, and they have plug-ins for the Mach 3, and I've sent them a list of requirements and things that I'm wanting to do, and so I'm waiting to get responses back from them. And possibly here, I don't know when, but possibly down the road, I could be offering that as an upgraded add-on if you want that, a Pokey's board, or if you want a UC CNC board inside of there instead of the one that I have. I'll probably be opening or offering it up as an upgraded add-on charge, and we can set a price for that, and put that in the place of the board that is the standard board that I'm using in all of the boxes.
Okay. Got another question here for you. Carl asked, are the dimensions of the upgraded motors the same as those Dave pre-drilled the holes for on the kit? I just got my kit and have not put it together, but wondering if any mods are needed if I happen to get the first batch you mentioned.
Yeah, it's a NEMA 24 motor, but the hole spacing is the same as a NEMA 23. The only difference is I think a NEMA 23 is a 56 millimeter frame size, and the NEMA 24 is a 60 millimeter. So it's the actual out frame is a little bit wider, but the hole spacing is still at 47 millimeters on both of them. So you won't have to adjust or re-drill the holes or anything. It should fit with no problems.
Yeah, and especially on the Gatton kit, like he's talking about, the holes have they're like 1/4-inch holes, so there's plenty of wiggle room. Yeah. But yeah, you can bolt NEMA 23s or 24s to that bolt pattern. It's the same as far as the holes go. Let's see. Steve's got a question here. He says, what is the reason that your box in the hobby box does not allow to jog both the X and Y at the same time?
I think it's just in the board. It's just in the board. It's just not going to allow it to do that. Like I said, the upgraded boards that I may offer a little bit later, in the obviously much more expensive higher end boards, the Pokey and the UC CNC or a Warp 9. There's just more in there, and that's just one of many things that adds to the cost of those boards, and it's just one of the things that makes these um, inexpensive. I realize some people like to do that and everything, but these boards aren't really going to allow you to do that.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the very first things I noticed when I started jogging. Uh, and I thought, well, what the heck? How come it doesn't do that? And then, I got to thinking about it, and I'm thinking, for somebody that's brand new and buys one of these,
Right.
and this is their first CNC, they probably won't even know any different, because
Yeah.
it's only because I've been doing this for, you know, a while. And, I'm used to, in Mach 3, I have always been with the Xylotech box, and
Mm.
I'm running a UC 100 on my other one now. When I'm running my Avid, it's got the Warp 9 Ethernet smooth step. All of those you can, as long as you can manage your fingers to push the three buttons, you can move all three axes at the same time. So that was, when I went to jog, and I immediately tried to hit one and get it moving, and went to hit another button, and I'm like, oh, it doesn't do that. So,
Yeah.
but I guess there's a lot of those. But and the same thing with that. I don't even know the number, but it's the red one that I did my demo board with. See, it does the same thing. You
Yeah.
can't move. You can't make a diagonal move using the arrow keys like you normally would.
Well, I probably spent, when I was sourcing out material and ordering and buying them and bringing them in to test them and everything, I probably spent the most amount of time on the driver board. And really, what I found is that there is no in between. I mean, these more inexpensive boards, you're not going to be able to do it, and the higher end ones, I mean, it just, price wise, it just, there's no in between. You're either buying a I don't really want to call it a base model, because it's not that, because it can do more than that, but it's the affordable model, or the Cadillac with everything, with all the bells and whistles on it, and there's really no in between. And since this was being marketed towards a hobbyist, somebody that's not using it as a production shop, or using it every day, using it, maybe a few times a week and that sort of thing. I just targeted a board that I could use and put into the box, and that's just going to meet that need and everything. And that's how I really want to offer, because I know some people may be buying this and have aspirations to make stuff and to use it more like production and everything. And that's how come I'm investigating and talking with Pokies and UC CNC, so I can get that down and hopefully offer that as an upgraded add-on later on.
Okay. All right. I see Steve was saying, I'm asking because the machine now allows me to do that, and I'm looking to get or build a larger machine. Yeah, I know what you mean, Steve. Mine have always done it, and then when I first did the video with the hobby box, that's one of the very first things I noticed. I'm like, oh, well, that's different about it. But like I said, if for a newbie, they're probably not going to be jogging two axes at once either, because you have to really be coordinated with your fingers, or you'll run into stuff if you're not. Not that I ever have, but I'm just saying. But it is something that I noticed right away. But let me see. I don't see any other questions, so let me see if I got some more here. Well, let's see. You've already talked about that. You've already discussed a little bit about maybe making some other versions of this
Right.
of this thing. All right. Well, let me go ahead and cut to the chase here. If somebody wanted to order one of these, how would they order them, and what's your current lead time on these things?
You can go to the website and order them straight off the website. I have a decent amount of inventory already here. I get a handful of boxes already full, completely built boxes already just stacked up and waiting to go out the door. And still have material here to get several more units put together. So unless you order limit switches or something like that that I need to put together, that's only just a few days lead time and everything, and then it'll go out the door, and I'll email you back. And if you order the limit switches, and I'll ask you for X and Y dimensions and everything, so I'll make sure I got enough cable there and everything to get you covered and everything. But yeah, I got built units in stock and ready to go.
Okay. All right. I better get back over to the comments like missing. Um, let's see. Here we go. I think we got a question.
Mhm.
Ryan Ballard, he happens to be my favorite solar guy. I kid him about that all the time because he's the only guy I know that does solar. Uh, he says, Stacy, what was your design reason for going with a 48-volt power supply over a 36 or 24?
Well, basically, the American-made Gecko drives. They're pretty expensive, but they're a very good drive. They got a section on their website just totally dedicated to this topic about efficiency and matching your power supply to your drivers and your motors, so you maximize the power that you have in those drivers and in those motors. And um, there's a guy from Australia, Peter, CNC Nuts, NUTZ, and he's got a one of his webcasts that's on his website uh, dedicated to phase inductance and how that pulls down your power supplies and the needs to um, have everything matched up right. And so if I decided I was going to do that, I didn't really want to um, use a 24 volt power supply. Uh, my Xylotex, the 3-axis one that I first had and bought, that was one of the issues that I had. And it had a small 24 volt power supply in it. And that's when I started doing my research. And I used, Peter took everything from Gecko and made his own Excel formula sheet and everything, which I used. And when I put it in with the 48 volt power supply and the 2.5 rating on the phase inductance and the 4 amps that it takes to drive those motors, it came up to about 10.7 amps of in 50 votes, 51 votes of power. So those drivers, you can't really exceed the voltage on them and everything. And they stop at 50. So I wanted to get as much voltage in there as I could. So I went with the 48 volt. And with those being adjustable, when I put the meter on them and set them up, they're set at about 49, 48 and a half, 49 volts of power. And they're adjusted up and they're delivering about 11 to 11.3 amps of power. So when you add all of that up and everything and take it through the math formula, you're actually utilizing about 94, 96% of the power that it offers and everything. And if you if I put a 24 volt, you could cut that in half, and you're running about half of what it's able to put out power wise. So, um, and just by trying to do some smart shopping and smart buying, I found a supplier, and I get these at a really good price. And so, again, I want good quality products that can give you what I think you need in a controller. So I wanted to put it, and it really didn't really cost me any more. It's like $2 more to put a 48 volt versus a 36 volt in there. So I went with the 48 because that's just going to do nothing but just give you a little better product on down the road.
Hmm. I think Dave Matthews here is likes your choices for the components there. And speaking of components, I mean, you kind of touched on this a little bit, I guess, but you know, one thing that's on a lot of folks' mind when you talk, you know, because everybody, it's no secret, all this stuff comes from China pretty much.
Right.
So, you know, is there any worries about component availability? Like, are you locked into a certain component that if it suddenly becomes hard to get, that would affect you being able to meet your lead times? Or
Well, I mean, it just depends on how busy they are at the time. I think this first order, um, and it was mostly with them doing a custom winding. If any of y'all are familiar with electric guitars and the pickups in them and how they're made, you know the windings on the coils of the pickups. You know, the more windings you have, the hotter, the louder that they are, and the more um, screech and squeal and power you get out of them. And they can custom wind these motors to, you know, your specifications and everything. You can find some El Cheapos on eBay that, you know, that run inductance up around 8, 9 or so, and which is pretty high. And you know, for just literally a little over $1 a piece more, I mean, they were willing to custom wind the motors for me. And actually, I have another company um, that just in case something was to go bad and I get into an extended lead time with them, they got the exact same driver board. They make their own motors. They can custom wind and hit the same specs and everything. So I got two really good suppliers out of China that I can order from at any time, and the cost is they're right on top of each other with cost and everything. So I feel confident that that my backup supplier, if my main supplier couldn't get them to me, I could get them from the backup supplier. And you know, and it's going to take a couple of weeks to get them here and everything, but I did want to have a good quality, competent backup supplier for the drivers and motors, and I think I was pretty blessed to find two of them that make everything there in house, and it's their product, and you know, and I'm comfortable with both of them.
okay, Ernest is letting me know. I guess the link that I had down below in the video for the male power socket switch link, he says it's dead. Well, that happens sometimes when you put links from, you know, Amazon links in there, they'll eventually dry up. But if you go over there, you can probably find one somewhere. They're not. I mean, just copy and paste that and put it in the search thing, and you probably find it, Ernest. Art Bixel asks, "What is the diameter of the stepper output shafts?"
Those are 8 millimeter, and both manufacturers that I've talked to that I can buy from, both of them have 8 millimeter shafts, and you know, and it's steady. It's what they put in on those two size motors, and so everything I order will come in with an 8 millimeter shaft.
Okay, and that's always an important thing to know, especially if you're building a Gatton, because when they go to the dumpster CNC site and click, he's made it really easy for them to order the couplers and Acme nuts that I spec for the Gatton kit, and he just has a thing that says Gatton CNC kit. Well, when you click on that, a lot of people will forget and not select their bore size on their coupler, and by default it's 1/4 inch. So 8 millimeter is just, I think, 3.315, I think, so just a hair over
Yeah, just a
5/16. But Tim over at Dumpster sells them in 1/4, 3/8, half, and then 6, 8, and 10 millimeters. So they're available there. Let's see. Here we go. Greg says, "Is there a warranty? And if so, How are warranty claims handled?
Okay, that's a good question. I got a 30-day warranty on them. That goes into effect from the time that you receive it. And basically, if there's a failure, when I order material, I usually get a few extra. I get extra batteries or power supplies. I got a few extra motion controller boards. But I do test everything. Actually, I go through about four different phases of testing. Initially, when I first hook up the power, when I go through every step of the power, I stop and plug everything in and turn it on, make sure I'm getting power, making sure everything is working. Um, and then at the end, once the box is complete, I hook it up to Mach 3, make sure I don't have any issues with the motor cables or anything, make sure that everything is, the motors are turning and working properly. I check all the inputs and put in the command codes for them to open up and everything and turn on, and I test them with the meter to make sure the 24 volts is coming through them. And so I do a complete system check before I ship out anything. And um, if there's a problem with it, I mean, everything in there, the motion controller board, the drivers, the power supplies, all have power light indicators. And, if something's not working, the first thing that I'm going to ask you to do is just unloosen the screws, pull the cover off, and um, look in there and make sure that lights are on everything. And if you don't see a light, then, it's something, either it got shook up in shipping or something, and something's not working right. And and everything is really easy to unplug. If I need to send you a power supply, then I can send you a new one out there and everything, and you can put it in. And if something's damaged in shipping, obviously let the shipper know right away, and let FedEx know right away, and we can get a claim going, and you can send me pictures, and we can take a look at that and address it immediately. I do ship in double wall boxes, and it's actually double packaged. The box that the cases come in, they're put back into that box, and then it's placed inside of the double wall box and shipped out. So I think I got pretty sturdy packaging and everything now on these things, and I think they'll arrive there without a problem or anything. But yeah, if you got a warranty issue, just call me. I take pictures of inside of each one of the boxes. So if anything's been tampered with, I'll ask you to take a picture of the inside of it and send it to me, and I'll have my original ones I can compare it to, and I'll know if something's, if it's looks like something's been damaged or something in shipping or something, then I can compare it and see what's going on. But yeah, I mean, we'll have a 30-day warranty on everything.
Yeah, you mentioned using that's your FedEx is the carrier you're going to use.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and now are you shipping just to the U.S. or are you shipping where all do you ship to?
Shipping to the continental U.S., so just
Okay,
in the mainland 48 states.
okay, lower 48. All right.
And on my website, it was pretty easy to get everything plugged in. So there's a set fee for each state location. If you're in Canada and want to buy one, just email me. I'm not refusing to ship to Canada, but it was going to be pretty hard to try to um, find out all the zip code information and get everything set up inside of the website for Canada. But if you'll just give me your address, if you're in Canada, I'll get a shipping rate specifically for your address and everything, and email it back to you and let you know what shipping would be, and we can go ahead and ship it to Canada. But on the website, it's just going to be the lower 48 of the continental U.S.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Uh, Marcello has a question. He says, "How many cooling fans and size do you have in the system?"
Well, I have, that's a good question. I got the Sanyo Denki, which everybody knows or a lot of people in the fan industry knows that these are a really good quality industrial fan. They're 80 millimeter in size. There's two of them. Um, these puppies put out a good 65 cubic feet of air per minute. That's roughly, I think when I calculated it, it's just about um, a cubic foot box. And so, I mean, there's plenty of air moving in. I got one position faced in to pull air into the box and comes in right over the top of the drivers. And the drivers are vented with heat sinks and everything to help get the heat off of them, plus the fans coming in right over them. And right behind the power supplies is one turned out to exhaust the fan back out. And they do a really good job. They put out a whole lot of air, and they're a few dollars more than the first ones that I tested and everything, but these puppies are really worth it. And I don't know if y'all can tell or not, but that's a steel bearing housing. It's not plastic or anything. It's a steel bearing housing, and these things hold up extremely well. And they're a little bit loud, but when your router's going, I guarantee you they're going to drown out any noise that's coming from your fans and everything. But
Yeah, yeah, I noticed that too, and I think it's because early. I don't know, but it seems to me like it seems extra loud because of that screen like thing you have on the
right,
outside of it, because it's blowing the air through that, which is making the noise, I think. But yeah, you're not going to forget and leave that turned on when you shut down for the night, because it is a little loud. But like you say, once the router bit hits the wood,
yeah,
or
you're
you
not.
turn on your dust collection, you're not
Yeah.
going to hear that anyway. So,
And I'm glad you mentioned that because I do use to try to keep, especially the I do it really just to keep it uniform on the exhaust side, but you really kind of need something. I don't like the spongy filters because they can actually uh, block air from coming in. But I use the stainless steel mesh ones, which allows airflow in, but it will keep the dust particles from coming in. And if you buy one of my boxes, just kind of keep an eye on it and, throw the shop vac nozzle on it every now and then. If you start seeing a little bit of dirt and everything on the outside of the screens and
uh-oh.
everything. But yeah, I use the stainless steel screens and everything, and just to keep all the little varmints from getting inside of your box.
Yeah, okay. Dennis seems happy that you're using FedEx because he says help out his 401k. So you're welcome, Dennis. And Paul asks, what size machine can it run? Is there a recommended maximum size?
I mean, this thing is going to drive. Just, I mean, Dave's machine there, I mean, up to a 4x4, maybe a little bit bigger. If you really if you want to get into a 4x8, I don't mind putting in a larger driver going up to the 860 model, which will get you up to 72 volts of power. And it will also allow you to put NEMA 34s. And if you're getting up to a 4x8, you really need to step up to a NEMA 34, like what's on Dave's Avid CNC, and you need to step up on a driver that can get you up to 60, 70 volts and everything and really power that thing up. But, anything about a, 5x5 or 4x4 or smaller, these things are going to handle it without a problem. And that's the reason why I went with the 556 size drivers, because you can put anything up to a good 5 amp motor and everything on it, and it'll handle it without a problem.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think we're caught up with the viewer questions. I don't think I missed any. Let me zip back up here real quick to see. I don't think I missed any. Let's see what else I had here. I think we've just about covered. Well, let me put on my glasses to be sure. Yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything I was going to ask. And between what I've asked you and what they've asked you,
Yeah.
I think we've pretty much got it covered. So
I did want to go over and discuss price just a little bit. We kind of discussed what all comes with it at the beginning, but
price
the
is
price,
always pretty important. Yeah.
yeah, the price that's up there now is basically my introductory price, and it's discounted. The regular price is about $738 for the unit, with everything that we discussed earlier that comes with it, and I'll probably leave this introductory $699 price up there for at least another week, and maybe a few more days after that, but probably just another week. And then after that, it will go up to the regular price of $738 for the unit.
Okay. All righty. Anybody else got? I'm going to do a last call for questions here, because I originally planned on keeping these Gatton CNC lives around 30 to 40 minutes, and this is kind of a special thing since it's a Saturday night one. Frankie's got a question here for me. He says, Dave Gatton, how's the sales going with the increased cost of the Pure Bond? Well, the Pure Bond, I just bought some the other day, and I don't know what price increase you're talking about, because I've been paying the same thing for about the past year. Unless they've just gone up since I went last Tuesday and stocked up again. But they have gone up. I think they've probably gone up about $15 a sheet since the Gatton CNC started. But that was 4 years ago, so it hadn't been too bad. Let's see. Here we go. Dave Matthews says, how big is the power supply, either amps or watts rating?
Okay, it's a 48 volt, 10 amp power supply on paper, but it's got the adjustability to it, and I put the meter on them when I'm installing them and everything, and so I got them set at about 48 and a half, 49 votes, because the DM 556 digital drivers will hold up to 50 votes. So I got it set about 48 and a half to 49, and about 11 to 11.3 votes and everything, or amps. So it's pulling enough to handle everything, all the drivers and motors that's on there.
Okay.
And I do have a separate 24 volt power supply that powers the 24 volt fans and the motion controller board.
Okay, we just lost him there for a sec. Mike, I think this is Mike here. He says, why would the size of the machine require bigger steppers? Well, it's all about performance. If you're going to, if you're going to have a bigger machine, just like with the Avid, they put the rack and pinion on there, but if you're going to have a bigger machine, you need it to not just hog through the material, at a bigger depth. It's also going to get a lot faster rapids. And the smaller steppers are just not going to be any match for the bigger ones. And we'll hope that Stacy comes back momentarily. Oop, he'll come back in, I think. Let's see, Jerry. Let me see what this is. Jerry says, saw a little of the video Dave did on the overview. It is a lot larger than the Xylotex. There he is.
Y'all back? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back. Jerry said, saw a little of the video Dave did on the overview. It's a lot larger than Xylotex. Very nice looking unit for sure. Yeah, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Stacy, but I think the box is 16 by 16 by 6, I
Yes, sir.
think.
Yeah, it's got plenty of room in there. I don't like working inside of confined spaces at all. I got room in there for a fifth axis and put a separate fifth driver in there. There's room in there for that, and um, both power supplies go in there comfortably. And like I said, it's good size and everything. I thought about going down to a 12 by 16, but it starts to get really cramped in there really fast when you start losing inches and everything. But yeah, it's 6 by 16 by 16.
Yeah, and I think it's a good size because, like you said, there's enough room in there that even though this is like a box for a beginner, that or well, it doesn't necessarily have to be, I guess, but a plug and
Right.
play box later on, if somebody wants to add something theirself, there's room for them to get in
Hmm.
there and do it without
Yeah.
without it being real crowded. I like the way the layout was in there.
Yeah, and I wanted to allow the room for that to expand with a different board. If you, like I said, if you wanted to upgrade to a different board, and if you chose a Warp 9 where you need an additional breakout room or breakout board, I just wanted to make sure there was enough room in there. If you done something like that, that it would house everything. So
Yeah,
I do like the size of it.
and not only that, but having that box that size, if you start making different versions using different components, you don't have to worry about, well, will this fit?
No.
Everything is going to fit in there pretty good. So
Yeah, and I've checked the specs on the others and everything, and they can fit in the portion of the box where I put the motion controller in there now and everything, and they would fit back in, and just really just alter the mounting hose where they're spaced at and everything is the only thing that would change.
mhm. Okay, all righty. I think we're pretty well caught up on the questions here. So if nobody has any more questions, let me check over here on the. I got YouTube open over here too, so I can see them about 30 seconds earlier than I can over here. So
Yeah.
I don't see any more questions. So I guess we'll wrap this one up. I want to thank everybody for checking us out tonight, and especially want to thank Stacy for coming on here. I'd been getting some some questions and comments on the video I did and stuff, and I thought, well, I don't want to sit here and try to answer questions for the guy. It's not my box, and he knows all the specs and stuff on it. So even though some of it is listed on the website there, so I thought, well, I just invite him, have him come on the show and answer any questions. So thank you all for your questions. Thank you all for tuning in, and I guess we're gonna sign off and get out of here. So everybody have an awesome. Have stop. Think it's Saturday night.
Well, thanks for having me.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Stacy. And just so everybody knows, you're kind of centrally located as far as shipping these things out because
Hmm.
you're up around the Nashville area or something, aren't you?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm in Tennessee and just a little bit north of Nashville. And sorry if I dropped off there just a second. We got a second round of storms moving through right now, and it just knocked out my electricity for a
Oh,
brief
okay.
second or two and everything, and then came back on. So I
Yeah.
had to re-click your link and join back in.
Okay.
But
Well, I'm glad you remembered to do that because that stuff happens.
yeah,
So anyway, all right, guys. Well, thanks so much for tuning in tonight, and go check out the G3 CNC plug and play controller over on. Well, I got it going across the bottom there. G3CNC.com. Go check it out, and we will see y'all later. Good night, everybody.